My name is Margaret Hale, and I'm 58 years old. I never thought I'd start a story like this, but if you're watching right now, I need you to listen closely. I want you to tell me from where you're watching, your city, your home, your heart, and when this story ends, tell me how it made you feel. Rate it out of 10, because this isn't just a story, it's a reflection of every parent who gave everything and still felt forgotten. I had spent most of my life building a home that smelled like salt, laughter, and hope. My beach house wasn't just a property, it was where I raised my daughter, Lily. I remember her tiny feet running across the wooden porch, her hair catching the morning sun, her little hands collecting seashells and saying, "Mom, look. This one looks like a heart." That house wasn't just made of wood and paint, it was made of moments, of lullabies whispered against the rhythm of the waves. After my husband passed away, it was all I had left of him, of us. And yet, on a cold Wednesday morning, I stood frozen in the living room, coffee trembling in my hand, as Lily's voice cut through the silence, "We're going tomorrow, Mom. I've sold your beach house." For a moment, I thought I'd misheard her. I blinked, expecting her to laugh, to say it was some cruel joke. But she didn't. She just stood there, her eyes fixed somewhere far beyond me, like she'd already detached herself from the pain she was about to cause. "You, what?" I asked, my voice barely a whisper. "You sold it? Without asking me?" Lily sighed, tucking a strand of her hair behind her ear the way she always did when she was nervous. "Mom, you said you wanted to move closer to the city anyway. It's too much work for you here. The house needed repairs. I did what's best for both of us." Her words were polished, rehearsed even, but they carried no warmth. I wanted to believe her, but deep down, I felt something cold twist inside me. This wasn't about convenience. This was about something else. I could see it in her eyes, guilt, maybe, or fear that night, as I sat alone by the window, watching the ocean roll in under a pale moon. I thought about everything that had led us here. The sacrifices, the late nights, the endless worry. I remembered the day I'd sold my wedding ring to pay for her college tuition. The day I'd gone without food for 2 days so she could buy her prom dress. And now, she'd sold the one place that still carried the scent of her father's cologne, the one place where his laughter still echoed through the walls. I wanted to hate her, God knows I did, but I couldn't. Because she was still my little girl, the one I had once carried in my arms when she was too tired to walk. Maybe, I told myself, there's something I don't understand yet. Maybe she has a reason. Maybe this isn't betrayal, maybe it's something else. The next morning, sunlight crept timidly through the curtains, like even it was afraid of what the day would bring. I heard Lily moving around in the kitchen, her voice light and busy, like nothing had happened the night before. I sat there on the edge of my bed, my heart aching in ways words couldn't describe. My fingers traced the photo on my nightstand, the three of us, smiling at the beach, her father's arm around my shoulders, Lily holding her first sandcastle bucket. My throat tightened. That house had seen our entire life play out like a movie, birthdays, tears, holidays, even quiet breakfasts after long storms. I had dreamed of passing it to Lily one day. But now, someone else would walk through those doors. Someone else would breathe in the scent of sea and coffee that had once been ours. I stood and walked into the kitchen slowly. "Lily," I said softly, "who did you sell it to?" She froze, her hand stilling over the sink. "Just someone who made a good offer, Mom. You don't need to worry about that." Her tone was gentle, but it trembled slightly. I wanted to push, to demand an answer, but something about her face, pale, distant, weary, made me stop. She looked like a child again, scared and lost. So instead, I just nodded and poured myself some tea. The silence between us was deafening, filled with the ghosts of things unsaid. "We'll be leaving early tomorrow," she said finally. "A moving company's taking care of the furniture." I didn't reply. What could I say? Every memory in that house was stitched to my soul. Leaving it felt like burying my own heart. That night, I couldn't sleep. I wandered through each room, touching the walls, running my fingers along the wooden banister her father had built. In the living room, I sat on the old couch where he and I used to fall asleep watching old movies. My tears came silently, not the kind that needed noise, just the kind that felt endless. I whispered into the empty air, "James, she sold our home." At dawn, I stood on the porch, watching the waves as the first moving truck pulled up. Lily came out behind me, dressed in jeans and a white blouse, her face unreadable. "Mom, it'll be okay," she said quietly. I turned to her and smiled, a sad, tired smile. "If you say so, sweetheart." Inside, every box packed away a piece of me. I watched the men carry out the old bookshelf, the kitchen clock, even the seashell wind chime Lily made when she was 10. As one of the movers passed, he handed me a small envelope that had fallen from a box labeled bedroom. I looked down and saw my husband's handwriting. My breath caught. "Margie, for you, if the waves ever take us away." My fingers shook as I opened it, and inside was a small photo of us standing in front of the beach house, and a note, "Never let anyone take what this house means to you. It's not the walls, it's the truth it holds." I folded the letter and tucked it into my pocket, my heart pounding. That night, as Lily and I packed the last of the boxes, I noticed how restless she was. She kept checking her phone, glancing at the window. Finally, she said, "Mom, I didn't tell you everything." Her voice cracked slightly. I looked at her, waiting. "The buyer, he's not just anyone. He's my boss." Her words hit me like a wave. "Your boss? The one from the company you just joined?" She nodded slowly, her eyes glistening. He offered to help me with a loan I took out. I thought I could fix it before you found out, but," she stopped, biting her lip. I could see the fear, the guilt, the panic all bubbling up inside her. Something was terribly wrong, and for the first time, I realized my daughter hadn't just sold my house for convenience. She'd sold it out of desperation. That night the wind howled outside like it knew what was about to unravel between us. Lily sat across from me at the kitchen table, her hands trembling as she held her cup of coffee. The way she looked at me, like a child who had broken something irreplaceable, made my heart twist painfully. "Mom," she whispered, "you remember when Dad got sick? How we struggled to pay the hospital bills?" I nodded slowly, my eyes fixed on her. "You said everything was covered, Lily." She took a shaky breath. "It wasn't. Not all of it. I took out a private loan from my boss, Mr. Carter. I didn't tell you because I didn't want you to worry. But the interest kept growing, and last month he told me if I couldn't pay, he'd take me to court for fraud." I panicked. I had no one else to turn to. He said the only way to clear the debt was if I sold the house to him directly. For a moment, I couldn't speak. My throat tightened, and I could barely breathe. "You sold your father's legacy," I said, my voice breaking, "to a man who threatened you." Her tears spilled, falling into the coffee she hadn't even touched. "I didn't want to, Mom. I thought it was the only way to protect us." "I thought, protect us?" I interrupted, my words sharp, laced with pain. "You didn't protect us, Lily. You destroyed what your father built with his hands. You could have come to me." She covered her face, sobbing. I was ashamed. "I didn't want you to think I'd failed." That silence after her words was the heaviest thing I'd ever felt. I realized that behind her choices wasn't greed, it was fear. Fear of letting me down. I reached across the table, my fingers brushing hers. "Sweetheart," I said softly, "you could lose everything in this world, but never your honesty. That's what your father always said." She looked up, her eyes red and swollen. "I thought I could fix it before you found out. Mr. Carter was supposed to transfer ownership today. I can't stop it now." My heart ached as I saw how broken she looked, how guilt had aged her. I stood and went to my room, searching through my old boxes. There, beneath years of papers and forgotten letters, I found something I hadn't touched in over a decade, the deed to the house, still in my husband's name. And next to it, another envelope, one I'd never opened. It was addressed to me in his handwriting. My fingers shook as I unfolded the paper, Margie, if you ever find yourself losing this house, know that its real ownership lies with what we built together. Don't let anyone take it away without a fight. The house can't be sold unless you sign too. I froze, my pulse racing. Lily had made a deal, but she couldn't legally sell what wasn't hers alone. The house, my house, was still safe. My breath trembled as I walked back to the kitchen, holding the papers. Lily looked at me, confused. "What's that?" she asked. I smiled faintly through tears. "Proof that your father still has our backs." Her eyes widened as she read the papers. "You mean, yes," I said. "He can't own what was never his to take." Relief washed over her face, but it quickly turned into fear again. "Mom, he's not going to take this lightly. You don't know him." I took a deep breath and stood taller than I had in years. Then he's about to find out what a mother protecting her home looks like. The next day, when Mr. Carter arrived with his smug smile and expensive suit, expecting signatures and compliance, he was met with something he hadn't counted on: a mother who'd buried her husband but refused to bury his legacy. I laid the papers out before him, calm but firm. "You don't own this house," I said. "You own a lie." His smile faltered. "I made a legal deal with your daughter." I nodded. "But the house was never hers to sell. I suggest you take your threats somewhere else before I make this very public." For the first time, the color drained from his face. He mumbled something and left. When I turned to Lily, she was crying again, but this time with relief. "Mom. I'm so sorry." I hugged her tightly. "We'll get through this, Lily. Together. But you have to promise me, no more secrets." For a few quiet days, it felt like peace had returned to our lives, but I should have known better. Men like Mr. Carter didn't lose gracefully. One evening, as I watered the garden that my husband once loved, a sleek black car rolled up our driveway. The sun had just dipped behind the trees, casting long shadows across the yard. I could see him through the windshield, his face tight with barely contained anger. He stepped out, his shoes crunching against the gravel, his expression somewhere between mockery and menace. "Mrs. Jacobs," he said smoothly, "I thought we settled this. That property belongs to me now." I turned off the hose and faced him squarely. "It doesn't," I said calmly. "You made a deal with my daughter, but legally, this house is half mine. You can't take it without my consent." He smiled, cold and unkind. "You think a signature can stop me? You've no idea what kind of men I deal with." My heart pounded, but I didn't flinch. I'd faced harder storms than him. That night, after he left, strange things began happening. Our power flickered on and off. I started finding notes at the door, and signed but threatening, "Sell now before it's too late." Lily grew anxious, blaming herself for bringing this into our lives. I could see her fear every time she checked the locks before bed. One night, she broke down. "Mom, maybe we should just go. I can't take this anymore." I took her hands and said, "If we run now, he wins. And your father's memory becomes just another casualty of greed." I knew I couldn't fight him alone, so I went to the local police. They said there wasn't much they could do without direct proof. I left the station frustrated but determined. That's when a familiar voice called out from behind me. "Margie Jacobs?" I turned and saw a man in uniform, Captain Raymond, my husband's old friend from the Air Force. He looked older, grayer, but his eyes still carried that unshakable calm. When I explained what was happening, he listened silently, then said, "Your husband saved my life once. I owe him. And if someone's threatening you, he'll wish he hadn't started." Within a day, he had friends in the department looking into Mr. Carter's finances. Turns out, the man wasn't just a businessman, he was laundering money through fake property deals. Our house was just another front for his corruption. Raymond helped me file a report and hand over the forged papers Lily had signed. The investigation moved faster than I expected. Within a week, Carter was under scrutiny, his accounts frozen, his empire cracking from the inside. Lily couldn't believe it. "Mom, did we really do this?" she asked one night, as we sat in the living room, the soft sound of rain pattering against the windows. I smiled, sipping my tea. We didn't just fight for a house, honey. We fought for our dignity. But just when I thought it was over, Carter showed up again, this time, desperate. It was raining hard that night, thunder rolling through the sky. I heard the knock and opened the door to find him drenched, wild-eyed, his arrogance gone. "You destroyed everything," he said, his voice trembling. "You and your husband's ghost." I looked at him, pitying him more than fearing him. "You destroyed yourself, Mr. Carter. I just refused to let you take me down with you." He staggered back, shaking his head. "You don't understand. They're coming after me now, the people I worked for. They'll come for you, too." I watched him drive off into the storm, headlights disappearing down the winding road. That was the last time we ever saw him. 2 days later, his car was found abandoned near the cliffs. No sign of him. Some said he fled the country. Others whispered darker things. I didn't care to know. I just thanked the heavens that it was finally over. The following week, I stood by the ocean near our beach house, the same one my husband had built board by board. The wind carried the salt air and the memories of everything we'd endured. Lily joined me, her hand slipping into mine. "Mom," she said softly, "I don't deserve this house after what I did." I turned to her, brushing her hair from her face. "You deserve every piece of it, sweetheart. Mistakes don't define us, what we do after them does." She smiled, tears in her eyes. Together, we watched the horizon, the sun breaking through the clouds like a promise of peace after a long storm. For the first time in years, I felt my husband's presence again, not as a ghost, but as warmth in the air, in the laughter we'd rediscovered, in the life we'd rebuilt from the edge of loss. It's strange how time can heal the things we once thought were beyond repair. It's been 2 years since that stormy night, and every morning when I wake up to the soft crash of waves outside the window, I'm reminded that peace doesn't arrive suddenly, it grows quietly, like dawn breaking over the sea. My name is Margie Jacobs, and I'm 58 years old. If someone had told me 5 years ago that I'd rebuild my life after losing my husband, my savings, and nearly my daughter's trust, I would have laughed bitterly. But here I am, living proof that the heart learns to beat again, even after it's been broken in 100 different ways. Lily comes to visit every weekend now. She brings groceries, laughter, and the kind of calm that used to fill this house when her father was alive. We sit by the porch, share stories, and sometimes fall into long silences that say more than words ever could. She's changed, matured, softened in ways that make me proud beyond measure. She started volunteering at a local community center, helping women who've lost everything to manipulative men and bad deals. The irony isn't lost on either of us, but that's life. It gives us pain, then teaches us how to turn it into purpose. A few months ago, she handed me a check. "Mom," she said, her voice steady, "I want to buy this house back, from both of us, so it's never at risk again." I smiled, shaking my head. "You don't have to, sweetheart. This house already belongs to love, not money." She cried then, and I held her the way I used to when she was little, whispering, "You've already given me more than I could ask for, you came back." Every wall of this house carries a story now, some painted in laughter, others carved in pain. The kitchen still smells like his favorite coffee, and the garden, wild and untamed, still grows around the edges of his old stone path. At night, I sometimes hear the faint hum of his old truck engine in my dreams, the way it used to sound when he came home after long shifts, tired but smiling. I don't believe in ghosts, not in the usual sense, but I do believe love leaves fingerprints on places, invisible but undeniable. This beach house is one of those places. It's more than wooden walls, it's a witness to the journey from heartbreak to healing. To those watching this story right now, wherever you are in the world, maybe from your living room, maybe from a small apartment where you're still finding your footing, know this: forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting. It means freeing yourself from the weight of the past so you can hold something lighter, like peace. If you've ever lost something that felt irreplaceable, a person, a dream, a part of yourself, trust that you'll find new meaning where you least expect it. I didn't think I could survive what I went through, but I did. And so can you. Tell me in the comments, from where are you watching? And rate this story from 1 to 10, not for me, but for every mother who's ever stood her ground when the world tried to take everything away. The tide is rising now, golden light dancing across the water. I take my sandals off, walk along the shore, and feel the wet sand pull at my feet. The ocean has a way of erasing footprints, but not the paths we've walked to get here. I look back at the house one last time before the day fades, and I whisper, thank you. Not to anyone in particular, just to life itself, for breaking me, for remaking me, for reminding me that strength isn't loud, and love isn't always gentle, but both are worth holding on to. And as the waves wash over the shore, I smile, not because the pain is gone, but because it finally makes sense.